Hey guys, welcome back to our journey into Python programming. In this fresh news section, we are going to learn about some of the advanced concepts that we have in Python. We have some predefined functions which make things much more easier for us in Python. So let's start with this section. The first thing that we are going to cover is map function. Then we are going to jump into filter, lambda functions, and much more. So let's start off by map function. So we have already covered a lot about functions. We have covered about list comprehension, some important operators, file handling, data types. After covering all of these, our base is already has been constructed. Now we are going to just move into the advanced concepts that we have in Python. So let's get our hands dirty in map functions. Map functions. We can use Python built-in function map to apply a function to each item in an iterable like a list or a dictionary. What I mean by this is, okay, so what I can do is I can combine a function with an iterable. Okay, this is an iterable and this might be some function. And over here I have the map function, map. What we can do is, let's say you have a function to square out a number and you have an iterable. Iterable might be a list. Let's take an example of list where we have 1 to 10, all the numbers between 1 to 10. Okay. Now we want to pass a function that will return me back. That function will be running out for each and every value of the iterable. That is, for 1, it will run once, the function will be running once, the value will be returned back, and it will create out a new list. Like, you can just do type conversion and it will just create back a list. Now for 2 also, it will just square the number. Okay, right now the function is to square out a number, so 1, it will return back. So the new list that we are going to have will be something like this: 1, then we will be having 4, then we will be having 9. Okay, so what exactly is happening? For each value of the iterable, the function has been run once and the value has been stored in a new list. Then we have 16, 25, and similarly till 100. Okay, that's what we mean by map function, and that's how useful it can be. Okay, now as you can see that each item in an iterable, we can use that and run it through the function and return a new iterator for receiving the results. Okay, so what exactly it is returning back? It is returning a new iterable. Okay, this one is a new iterable. One iterable we have passed and we are needed of with a new iterable. Okay, this is the return value. Write it off, return. Now map returns a map object which we can use in other parts of our program. We can also pass the map object to a list function or another sequence type to create an iterable. That is type conversion. Okay, this map function will give me a map object. Map object. Okay, and you can do type conversion for this map object. The syntax of the map function is something like this. So we have map, then a function, and then an iterable, as I have just written off in the last screen. So the map object passes each item of an iterable to a function. As I've told you that a function can be anything to square out a number or some other things. And then an iterable that is to be mapped into the function. Okay. You can pass more than one iterable into the map function. Instead of using a for loop, the map function provides a way of applying a function to every item in an iterable. Therefore, it can often be more performant since it is only applying the function one time, that is one item at a time. So rather than making copies of the items into another iterable. So if you use for loop, it will be more and more of a longer terms. If you are using map function, it will be quite faster. Okay. Now, this is particularly useful when working on programs processing large data sets. When you have large kind of data set and you want to pass an iterable or any function over there, you can just do the map function. It can also take multiple iterable as an argument, as I've told you, to the function by sending one them from each iterable to the function at a time. That is, one at a time it will be sent off. So we have gone through a lot of theoretical part. Let's look into the example of it. Okay, but before that, just make sure this is the syntax of map function. So we have map function and then an iterable, and this is what we mean by uh, the parameters inside of it. We have a function, okay, that function has to be mapped out, and the iterable that is mapped using the function. Now, what is the return value from a map? As I've told you, the return value will be a new iterable. Okay, the map function applies a given to a function to each item of an iterable and returns a list of the result. By the way, this is not exactly a list. Okay, let's cut it off, but more of an iterable, a new iterable. It can be anything. After that, because we are going to get a map object, and after that you can just do type conversion. If you want to do get out a list or a tuple or a set, it's on you. The return value from the map can be passed to function like list, as I already told you, set to create a set, and so on, maybe a tuple or anything, whatever you feel like. Now let's look into an example of it. So again, the same problem which I talked about while discussing in the second slide, that is squaring out a number. So this function is, I hope we all are versed out with functions right now. We have already discussed and solved a lot of new questions and a lot of deeper questions into functions. So this function is def, calculate square n. Okay, this is a function which will just return me the square of a value. So if I pass, so I'm not writing the full name over here, so I'm just writing cs, that is calculate square, and over here if I pass 5, okay, so the output that is in return, it will give me 25. Okay, so this function does that. Then we have an iterable. What is this? This is an tuple. Okay, let me write out. This is an tuple. Or you can just pass out a list. It's up to you. Nothing will be changed much. If you pass out set, what it will happen is that if you convert a set, then there's no indexing, so all the values will be just mismerged. Okay, so then what I'm doing is result, I'm creating a new iterable. Okay, map calculate square numbers. Okay, what is calculate square? This is the function and this is the number, that is the iterable, and I'm printing out the result. What this line of result will print out is, oops, let me clear it out. Okay, what this line will give me is an map object. Let's write it off, map obj. Okay, it will return me an map obj. Then what I'm doing is I'm doing a bit of type conversion. I'm changing the map object to a list. List, and over here you have the map obj. Map obj. And then at the end I am printing the numbers of square. Okay, whatever are new, as I've told you that it will be a new iterable, so I'm just gonna printing out the output now. The output will be a list. Okay, a list is always in square brackets, not in this. So 1 4 9 16. So this is the output of this. So I have 1 2 3 4, and what I did was my function was mapped. Okay, that is my iterables, that is numbers, was mapped into this function def calculate square, and all the numbers were squared off and stored in a new iterable, that is again a list. Okay. So 1 4 9 16, this is the answer of this. So that's all for the theoretical aspect of maps. We have known a lot of maps. Now we are going to jump into Jupyter Notebook in our next video and go get some hands-on experience and solve out some deeper problems into this. So let's jump out in Jupyter Notebook in our next video.